Well, let's talk about how to turn your head. That query letter, what, you're just looking for standard first paragraph, here's how I know about you, and then go straight to the pitch, or what makes a good query letter, and is there anything in a query letter that makes you go, I'm going to read the writing sample, we're done?
Yes. So there are so many guidelines out there for how to write a query letter. At this point, yeah, I think if you deviate from that, I kind of have to ask why. So I'll start with some of the weird ones that I've seen that definitely turn me off. And most of the time, those are written from the perspective of the character. I don't want you to be cute in your query letter. I don't want you to do something that you think is going to like shock me right off the bat. It is odd and confusing when I do get a query letter that, like I said, is written from the perspective of the character. I've also had query letters that are super overly boastful. You'll regret turning down my book because it's going to win, every award and that sort of thing. I've also had authors talk down about the genre that they're writing. If I get a horror query and the first thing in your query letter says, horror usually sucks, but mine doesn't. You know what I mean? Like,
especially if it's written by your previous client. Keep reading.
And then the other one that, I know querying is tough. I mean, this is a tough industry. Everything takes forever. So I'm sympathetic, but I really don't like getting queries that are like, well, I know you're going to turn this down anyway, but I decided to email you just to see, like that sort of thing. But yeah, so I love to see a query that maybe the first sentence is a call out, and then jumps into the description of the book.
A call out such as, I heard you on the Middle Grade Ninja podcast, that's why, and I knew you would be perfect for me, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I really just want 1 or 2 paragraphs about the book itself, and then maybe a short paragraph about yourself. And then I want to jump into the book. A lot of authors will, I've seen query letters that tell me nothing about the book. I've seen, this was more common when we were not using Query Manager because you can't really do it. But prior to Query Manager, I would get people who would email me, see attached query. And if you don't know, as a querying author, nobody wants attachments unless we ask for them. So that's why a lot of the guidelines are to embed your query letter in your first 5 pages in the body of an email. So yeah, it's one of those things that shows that you followed the instructions, shows that you're treating this as a profession, which it is, and shows me that you take this seriously. So yeah, short and sweet. And then I some agents ask for synopses, and I usually have people ask me, do you want to see a synopsis? I'm like, nope, I do not want to see a synopsis. I want to run right into the writing. I want to go from your query into the book itself. The synopsis is just going to hold me up.
And spoil.
Yeah, some people ask for it, and that's perfectly fine, but me personally, I don't. Because for me, the really telling thing is the writing itself. But yeah, that query letter is part of that first impression. So it doesn't have to be, exactly formatted, like 1 sentence call out, 1 paragraph, synopsis, or I shouldn't call it a synopsis, but 1 paragraph nutshell description, and then 1 paragraph bio. You can deviate from that. I want the important stuff. But yeah, it's the work itself that's really going to sell me on a book. So.
Gotcha. One more questions about queries, and then we'll move on. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I know that people are hearing you and like, oh my gosh, you like Stephen King? I like Stephen King. We're practically the same mind. I better send you a query. So I want to make sure I give them every opportunity to succeed in doing so. What kind of that paragraph that's just about the author? What do you want to know? What would impress you?
So there are things that would impress me, but rather than talk about that, I kind of want to set people's minds at ease, because really that bio is an opportunity for me to just get to know a little bit about you. I know authors fret, they'll say, well, I haven't published anything. I haven't won any awards. I haven't, gotten accepted into any kind of special writing program. All of those things are going to catch my attention. But, like I said before, I really want to see the writing itself. And so many times I have read those, accolades about somebody's writing career, and then I've gotten into the writing itself, and it's not good. So you don't need all of that stuff. I'm not looking for you to impress me in your bio, but what I am looking for is, like I said earlier, you wrote this book about robots taking over the world and you work with AI for a living. Like that's fabulous. That's awesome. You don't have to have that. If you're writing a book about robots taking over the world and you work in a bank, that's totally fine too. But, I like to know, what did you get a degree in if you got one? What do you do when you're not writing? I don't really want likes long walks on the beach and that kind of thing. But, maybe you're pitching me a middle grade book and you have, a 12-year-old son that influenced this book and you read it to them at, bedtime, and that's how your story evolved. Like, that's cool. I like to know those kinds of things. So, yeah, I'm not necessarily looking to be impressed. Certainly those things will catch my attention, but again, ultimately it's going to be the writing itself. I really just want to know a little bit about you, because the other thing that happens when I do dive into something that is really great is that I immediately want to know more about the person who wrote it, and that's as an agent and as a reader. So, if you have a social media presence, I'm going to go look you up there and see what you're doing. If you have a website, I'm going to go check out your website. If you have a podcast, I'm going to go check out your podcast, And I like some of that, at least, to be included in your query so that I don't just have to, blindly do a Google search and hope that I'm finding the right person. That has happened too. I've gotten queries that have absolutely nothing about the author, and then I go to Google and I'm like, 24 people with the same name. I have no idea who this person is or what they do. More often, that's a bit of an issue if I have somebody who's writing, say, a legal thriller, and then I go look them up and I can't actually tell if they have any kind of experience in a legal capacity that would inform their writing, or, and I kind of want to know those things. You don't have to have it. That's what I really want to stress, because I don't want anybody to say like, oh God, I was going to write, her about my fantastic legal thriller and I'm not a lawyer and she's just going to turn it down. That's not the case at all. Just examples of things that I like to find out in the bio.
I'm not a lawyer, but I have spent a lot of time in the legal system, if you know what I mean. So I'm real useful like that.
Well, perfect example, again, because I am Cajun and because I'm from Louisiana, and I actually did major in criminal justice. The legal system in Louisiana is a little bit different, and Louisiana has parishes instead of counties. So if you were to query me with a book set in, I don't know, Jefferson County, Louisiana, then I'm going to know that you didn't really do your research. So